Yo, what's up? How we doing? Good morning. Welcome to the gym. Thank you so much for being here. Hopefully you're having a great day and are ready for some Pokemon TCG related content, because that's what we got going on today. So what we got yesterday, last night, we had the first Standard League post-rotation featuring new cards from Scarlet and Violet here at Full Grip Games. So that was awesome. I stuck around and I recorded the matches, and we can take a look and see some of those strategies unfold before our very eyes right here on stream. I feel like I'm still waking up today. Anybody else? Thank you guys for the subs to kick off the stream. Sticks with the Prime sub in the 3 months. Mario EX, Stealth Boy, The Anime Show. Thank you. Krayeth. Thank you. Krayeth says, I'm also waking up. It's 16:15 here. I always have to think so hard when somebody types in a time greater than 12. Woo, man. Thank you, Constantinos, for the Prime sub and the 7 months. Appreciate it. Did I not pay out Did I not pay out a prediction? Let's see. Probably because I was salty. Zeely won the triplet beat building battle. Boy, I learned a lot though from that. I think I ended up deciding not to play my big basic Tauroses in favor of trying to play like my Clodsire EX and my Dedenne EX. But in hindsight, I would have been better off scrapping both of my EXs and just playing the Tauroses. Because I had a lot of... It's like, you know, in an inconsistent format like that... Wait, why is there a prediction going on? I thought there should not be a prediction. Anyways. Yes, I should not have played either of my EXs because they just weren't very good. And then maybe I could have played the Clodsire, but just like not even included any darkness energies. Just played the Clodsire to poison, and then just played Tauros. Honestly, the Water Tauros was like probably the best card because it could hit the bench. So that was like very strong. Yeah, that's what's up. Yeah. Thoughts on a gym leader card type that sits in a separate zone with static activated ability for GLC? I think about that kind of stuff all the time. Like a commander for Pokemon, but it would be your gym leader, right? Yeah, I think about that all the time. Yeah, like a gym commander. Of course. Yeah. I could get myself into like a real solid amount of legal trouble if I started printing gym leader cards. Imagine this. Tricky Jim starts printing his own gym leader cards with gym leader artwork on them and commander style effects. Wouldn't that be sick? Now that, I mean, it would be dope for the game, probably. But legal, definitely not. So we're probably going to avoid for now. But I think about that kind of thing all the time. I could make up my own gym leaders that don't exist, but I mean, what's the fun in that, right? Everybody wants the Serena, you know, or the Sabrina gym leader. Everybody wants the Erica gym leader. Everybody wants the Brock gym leader. Any further, Howarth? What are you implying? Yeah. What are you implying? But I think about that kind of thing all the time. Like, imagine if you know, fighting, you could make, I mean, the thing is that by creating commander cards, it would allow me to have some control over the format, right? But then, you know, you could have certain things like this commander's ability only unlocks in the, you know, once a player's taken 3 prizes. You could have this player's commander ability unlocks only if you have less than 10 cards left in the deck. You could have this commander's, you know, ability unlocks if you're ahead on prizes. Yeah, that kind of stuff. I mean, I think about that kind of stuff all the time. But it's not really... If you think about it, like right now, like Gym Leader Challenge is being promoted by TPCI and like, and I think there's like good hope for it to like catch on, you know, in official capacity. I think that creating my own characters and rules would probably like work against, you know, the you know, the eventual adoption of it in an official capacity. You know what I mean? But I do think about you know, I think about custom rules and things like that all the time, because now, you know, expanded format is basically gone from a digital setting. So now that expanded format only exists in paper, you could basically do with it whatever you want, because it doesn't have to coincide with like a digital equivalent, right? So now that Gym Leader Challenge can really only be appreciated in paper, which is fine with me, because that's the best way to enjoy the Pokemon trading card game in my opinion. They have expanded back to Sun and Moon on live, but it's not exactly you know, like, doesn't exactly work right. For instance, you can do things like this. Do you guys see this?
You can do it again. You can do it again. You can do it twice. You can do it infinitely. You can do it infinitely. You can use Oranguru infinitely from the discard pile. This is hilarious. TCG Live is the greatest game ever made. Can we all agree on that? TCG Live, best game ever made. Instruct, infinite instruct. Who wants to use an infinite instruct? I want to use an. You can do it again. You can do it again. You can do it twice. You can do it infinitely. You can do it infinitely. You can use Orangaroo infinitely from the discard pile. This is hilarious. TCG Live is the greatest game ever made. Can we all agree on that? TCG Live, best game ever made. Instruct, infinite instruct.
Yeah. Yeah. You can instruct from the discard pile as many times as you want. Which, kind of goes crazy. It makes you really... It makes you think. Stuff like that really makes you think. Like, what's going on here? How did we get here? That is something. In all my years playing the Pokemon trading card game online, I don't think that I was ever incorrectly able to access an ability from the discard pile. Never. All right, so we got the new Earthworm. Is a metal type basic Pokemon from the upcoming Snow Hazard set, which is being released in 8 days. It's next Friday. So that's pretty hype. I'm going to be, so as soon as I get home from EUIC, as soon as I get home from EUIC, I'll have these booster boxes and we'll be able to open them and show them off. So I'm very excited about that. As these have been the most expensive Japanese booster boxes I've ever witnessed on set release, which says a little bit something about the hype around these sets, but it also says something about the hype and market value of Japanese booster boxes in general. These suckers are supposed to MSRP for $50. And the Clay Burst set is selling for over $200. And the Snow Hazard set is selling for just under $200. That's about 4 times MSRP. That's the equivalent of English booster boxes selling for whatever 4 times. It's $600 on release, like $500 to $600 on release. Yeah. Isn't that crazy? It'd be the equivalent, $500 to $600 per English booster box on set release. It's the equivalent. Since English booster box is MSRP for like $160. Multiply that times 4. Yeah. So it's a crazy time to be collecting Japanese cards, but it's cool. It's my job, so it's like, it is what it do, baby. Got to weather this storm. That's fine. And honestly, I always just get excited that there's more people excited about Pokemon cards. Like, yeah, I'm in a position of privilege where it's like I have sponsors and stuff to help me get a hold of cards, like obviously, but it does just in a certain response, like I'm happy that more people are interested. Obviously, it hurts my wallet to have to buy these things, but then also it's good to have hype, right? It's good to have hype. It's healthy to have hype. It's healthy to have interest. It's healthy to have people who are excited for the products, right? It's good for the future of the game. That's awesome, Trey. Right, for sure. I think that, like, The thing is that Pokemon cards went through that, like, obviously that spike during the pandemic, and then things kind of settled a little bit. But I think you're generally seeing that interest is still at a high. Yeah. And, I think that there's definitely a spike in Japanese TCG collecting going on right now. I mean, I know for me personally, like, the Japanese cards are my favorite ones to collect. So it's, I get it 100%. And they're hard to get. It's like the Japanese booster boxes, hard to get. I love collecting them. They come out way before the English cards. Even when I was a kid, when I was 10 years old, I knew collecting the Japanese cards was more dope because I could get the Team Rocket set and it wasn't even out in English. And I could get like the gym sets and they weren't even out in English yet. So I knew collecting the Japanese cards was always dope because you were getting the new cards before they came, like way before they came out in English. Even 10-year-old Andrew knew that. Like, I didn't know much. Thank you, Rev Rob, for the Prime sub in the 5 months. Appreciate it. Yes, we got a new Earthworm. It's a basic Pokemon, metal Pokemon from the upcoming Snow Hazard set. And it's got this ability, Nutritional Iron, which reads, if this Pokemon has 3 or more metal energy attached to it, it gets plus 100 hit points. That's a pretty gnarly ability. So you can give your Earthworm 230 hit points. And then, this kind of card is the kind of card that would be playable in Gym Leader Challenge format. We're not really going to pretend that this thing is going to be played in standard format, really. So in Gym Leader Challenge format, I mean, you could play this with like Cape of Toughness and give your Earthworm 280 hit points, which is pretty sick, right? Or, in standard, you could play with a pot helmet. Sure. Make it take 30 less damage. Then it's got an attack, shoot through, does 100 damage and 30 damage to one of your opponent's bench Pokemon for 4 energy. It is a little bit costly, but there are ways to power this dude up. In Gym Leader Challenge format, you got Magnezone, you got Bronzong, and you got Kling Klang, all which can accelerate energy into play in metal decks. And what I do like about this card in Gym Leader Challenge format is that you can pair it with Berserker with the Steely Spirit ability to make it do 20 more damage. So 120 with 30 damage snipe is way better than 100 with 30 damage snipe. And then you could put a Fighting Fury belt on it. So you could have Galarian Berserker, right? And then you could do Fighting Fury belts. And with Fighting Fury belts, you're doing 10 more damage and giving it 40 more hit points. And then you're hitting the magic number 130, which is awesome. And you are giving your Earthworm 40 more hit points. So it'll have 270 HP, which is like as much HP as a Pokemon V-Star. That's pretty sick. Love that. Absolutely love that. And for such a fatty, he's only got a retreat cost of 2, which is not bad. I mean, honestly, that's pretty nimble. And these Earthworms are getting the nice Illustrator Rare treatment, which is awesome. You got that nice Free Willy artwork there. Looks great. Love it. Feels good, man. So, Yeah, very excited about the worms. The worms seem nice. You know what? I hated this Pokemon. I did. I hated this Pokemon when I saw it in Scarlet and Violet, the video games. I was not into that. I was not having a good time perceiving it. And these cards are making me like it. I gotta say, that's why the Pokemon trading card game is the best game ever. That's why it's the best part of the Pokemon franchise. Just saying, I didn't even like Earthworm at all in the games, in the video games, but now, now that you make me think about the worm like this, look at his little smile. I mean, he looks like he's guilty of something, right? He looked like he up to no good for sure. So I love that. That's cool. And he's a basic Pokemon. So he's just a beefy, basic dude. Love that. I certainly look forward to playing this guy in my metal deck. My Metal Gym Leader Challenge deck for sure. It's going to be awesome. There's also Therapy Energy. It's a special energy. And it heals special conditions. The Alaskan bullworm. Okay. And yeah, that's about it for the news. Cool. We got EUIC coming up next weekend. I'm going to be there. I'm excited about that. And been doing a lot of testing to prepare. Mostly in paper, honestly. I haven't done any testing for UIC on live yet. Can't really bring myself to do it. That might be my own downfall, but oh well. Testing in paper is more fun anyway. It's more fun. And my buddy Frank Persick, who got second place at EUIC last year to Gustavo Wada. Frank Persick just moved around the block from me, actually. So Frank is real close and local now, which is sick. He used to live in Cleveland. But yeah, now he's super close. So I'm gonna be testing with Frank this weekend, and I did a little testing with Frank the other night. No leaks, bro. No leaks. All right, I've got League, guys. League time. Now, I recorded League from last night. Thank you, James, for that raid of 98. Yo, what's up, everybody from James TCG? Appreciate the raid, James. Hopefully you're doing well. This is the first League night that we had here at Full Grip Games, featuring the new cards from Scarlet and Violet. Now, keep in mind, as we are watching League, the vibes of League are different than the vibes of a regional championships, okay? Many of these League players, kind of scrape together their post-rotation lists, pretty quickly and are just trying out the new strategies in a relatively casual setting, okay? That's kind of what we got going on here. So while it's okay to be critical of the player's play, make sure we're not bullying. Be nice, okay? You could talk about things that might have been better to do, but, keep it chill, all right? Keep it chill. A lot of League players are still learning, right? So then this is part of the experience, is to help them learn, right? Think of it that way. League is a great experience to help players learn. And by talking over games, I mean, in a lot of ways, it's like coaching, right? Think of it like that. Opportunity for coaching. But anyways, this is going to be a lot of fun. But again, I'm about to pee my pants. So give me 30 seconds. I'll be right back. I also have, let's see. Oh boy. I have the card viewer up too. So I'm going to attempt to offer some commentary, but then I'm also going to be doing, let's see. I'm also going to be doing the overlay. Oh, I need to go to, see, here we go. And then that's good, but then wait a minute. All right, here we go. I need to copy that. Over here. We're almost there. Very good. See, isn't that nice? Wow, here we go. Gonna be able to produce it, with some nice overlays so you guys can see the cards as they get played, which should be fine. Cool. And then offer some commentary as we watch these games. It should just be some chill vibes as we do that. So let's see here. Were they stressed about going on stream? Fran was, yes. Fran on the right. Yeah, Fran was like, dang it. Yeah, Yeah. Yes, but Fran's a good sport. So let's see. And then there's, I just got to make sure I got the there's like shortcuts too. There we go. Okay. Got the shortcuts. Beautiful. Pause, play, pause, play. Okay. Let's go, gamers. Here we are with round 1 of the Full Grip Games League Night Tournament. We have got Heather on the left versus Fran on the right. 15 players in attendance at tonight's event. And this is our first league night with Scarlet and Violet cards legal. So we're going to get to see some of these new strategies unfold at Full Grip for the first time tonight. It's very exciting. Fran has updated her Arceus Duraludon deck. She said she found out just hours before the Full Grip League night that Scarlet and Violet cards were going to be legal and that they were playing post-rotation format. So she scrambled to update her Arceus Duraludon list to be legal for the event. And then Heather is playing her Oinkologne EX deck. We're going to get to see these strategies face off against one another. And It's a pretty interesting interaction between Duraludon VMAX and the Oinkologne EX deck, because Duraludon VMAX has the Skyscraper ability, which makes it so that it cannot be touched by Pokemon that have special energy attached to them. And the only kind of energy in Heather's deck is special energy. Heather's going to be playing first and opens a brave little Lechonk, and will attach a V-Guard energy to it. Also has Trekking Shoes to dig into her deck and will pass. Fran has also got Trekking Shoes. Trekking Shoes seems to be a popular card for players post-rotation. It does help with consistency, and God knows we need that. Now, Fran is going to go digging for a supporter card with Pokegear. Pokegear allows you to look at the top 7 cards of your deck and put a supporter card that you find there into your hand. Looks like Fran will grab Raihan. Raihan is not going to help her set up any right now. She cannot play Raihan. Raihan can only be played if a Pokemon was knocked out and you have a basic energy in your discard pile. However, Fran does have Ultra Ball, Escape Rope, and Double Turbo in her hand, but attaches the Metal Energy to the active Duraludon V. I would have really liked to see Ultra Ball get played for an Arceus V. But it looks like we're looking at that Ultra Ball now. With the Escape Rope and the Double Turbo, I think a really solid play would have been to Ultra Ball away probably the boss's orders and one other card to go get Arceus V, Escape Rope the Arceus V into the active spots, and then use Trinity Charge to accelerate energy into play. That's a little bit more of a grindy start without that Trinity Charge attack. But this is the route that we are taking. Fran is seeing the special energy and saying, okay, I definitely want to get my Duraludon into play as quickly as possible. Now, Heather does have an answer to the Duraludon's Skyscraper ability, and we see that coming into play right here. Path to the Peak is an incredible stadium card that turns off the abilities of all Pokemon V in play. And Heather's deck is running 4 copies of Path to the Peak. So she's going to want to get that Path to the Peak Stadium to stay. Now, something that I think is worth considering, you could hold the Path to the Peak, since you know as the Oinkologne player that you want to win the Stadium War, right? The Stadium War is basically who ends up with their stadium being the final stadium to see play. Now, since that Duraludon is not evolved into a Duraludon VMAX yet, Heather does not actually need that Path to the Peak in play. Though it is nice to potentially turn off Arceus V-Star's ability. We do see Bibarel get evolved. Bibarel will be able to use its Industrious Incisors ability to fill Heather's hand to 5. She's got Trekking Shoes, another Lechonk, digging for an Oinkologne. And Heather will use Bibarel's Industrious Incisors ability. I think she probably should have benched that Klefki just to see another card off of Industrious Incisors. But we do not find Oinkologne. So it is looking like Lechonk going to be swinging with a 20 damage Stampede. Get some damage on the board. Fran is able to find that counter stadium, Lost City, putting that into play, which is really important because Fran has Radiant Eternatus in her hand. So even though Fran doesn't have too much going on in her hand, she does have Radiant Eternatus with the Climactic Gate ability, which will allow her to search her deck for up to 2 Pokemon VMAX and put them straight into play. So this is a very explosive way to get Duraludon VMAX online. We see 1 Duraludon VMAX. But wait, is that it? Only 1 Duraludon VMAX. The other Duraludon VMAX must be prized. That is tough. So Fran revealing that she only has 1 Duraludon VMAX in the deck. We'll use Climactic Gate, and that ends her turn. Now Heather has got a hand she can play down. She can put the Path to the Peak in play. That's her second one. She can bench Klefki, bench Lechonk, attach Double Turbo, attach Choice Belt. But I think Heather kind of had a little bit of a brain fart and forgot that she could use, and there you go. So you see the realization. Heather realizes right now, after announcing the attack, that she could play her hand down and use Industrious Incisor. She's laughing about it and is like, oh boy, that's going to look real funny on camera. No sweat. You'll get it next turn, Heather. Yes. The brave little piggy continues to slug away. And Duraludon V will retreat into Arceus. And finally, we are going to get to see a Trinity Nova. So there we go. Arceus V, or Trinity Charge, excuse me. Trinity Charge will accelerate 3 basic energy to that Duraludon VMAX. Get that thing loaded up and ready to roll. So now Fran has established her board. She is ready to start swinging with G-Max Pulverization next turn. So Heather needs to find an Oinkologne to get this thing going. Got Choice Belt going on to the active. Another Lechonk in hands. And Industrious Incisors. Oh, God. Just more Path to the Peak. This is tough. That is just a hand jammed with paths. Oops. All path. Heather does have a Nest Ball. And can use the Nest Ball to search out a basic Pokemon. So that's what she's going to do. Could either go for the Squovit or another Lechonk or a Bidoof. Looks like we're getting Bidoof. And then Heather will shuffle up. Now this Lechonk is going to be doing some damage this turn, all right? This Lechonk's getting in there. You've never seen a Lechonk Stampede for 50 damage. Just saying. That's a very admirable Stampede there, Lechonk. Well done. Now, Fran is chilling with Raihan and an Energy and a Nest Ball. So not a lot going on in Fran's hand, actually. But Fran does have the Duraludon VMAX built up. So she can retreat and start to pulverize. And I think that that's what we got going on. Fran's going to retreat Arceus V into Duraludon VMAX and G-Max Pulverization is going to absolutely pulverize that poor Lechonk. The Lechonk hitting the bin. And now Heather will get to draw up until 7 because of gift energy. And decides to promote the Lechonk with no energy. And will draw for turn. Heather desperately needs to find an Oinkologne now. But Heather has her final 2 Path to the Peaks in her hand, as well as a Professor's Research. So if Heather wants to dig, she needs to discard those 2 Path to the Peaks. Now, it's worth noting here that something that could have saved those Path to the Peaks, if Heather had gone for the Squovit instead of the Bidoof with the last Nest Ball, then Squovit could have put those Paths to the Peaks onto the bottom of the deck to save them for later in the game. So I think that would have been something, in hindsight, that would have seemed like a really good play. So I think that that's like a lesson learned for sure. All right, Heather is able to find Oinkologne EX finally. Oinkologne EX hitting the board. It's got a V-Guard energy attached and a Choice Belt. And then Oinkologne EX will use Maddening Scent, which does 10 damage plus 30 more damage for each of the opponent's benched Pokemon, and then plus 30 more damage for that Choice Belt, dealing 130 damage. Now, Fran was able to find another Duraludon VMAX, so she evolves that second one into play. Her board looking much more stable now. Still a relatively dead hand, though. So it's just going to be a G-Max Pulverization. For 220 damage, and that Oinkologne EX takes that hit. No problem. It's got 260 hit points. So 220 damage from Duraludon. Gonna put some pressure on this Oinkologne EX. But Heather has a Sharon's Care in her hand. All Heather needs to do is play Sharon's Care, pick up the Oinkologne EX, put it into her hand, promote the other Lechonk on the bench, and then swing. Now, Heather actually could take a knockout this turn, because Oinkologne EX's second attack, Heavy Stomp, does 210 damage. And the benched Lechonk has a double turbo on it already. So all Heather needs to do is play Sharon's Care, pick up the Oinkologne EX in the active, lay it back down on the Lechonk. There's a gift energy. And then with Choice Belts, that Heavy Stomp would be dealing knockouts. The cool thing about Sharon's Care is that it acts as a switch too, so you don't have to play the switch, but we've got switch. Will the Sharon's Care get played? Oh, Squovit time. All right, so we are going to Squovit, which puts the hand on the bottom of the deck. And then Heather gets to draw one card. And then Heather will play Industrious Incisors to fill her hand back up to 5. Ultra Ball to discard 2 energy. And Heather will go for another Oinkologne EX. To evolve the active. Will she play the Sharon's Care in her hand? And yes, Sharon's Care. It's never been a better time to play Sharon's Care. Pick up that damaged piggy. And all cards attached to it go into the hand. And this is the beauty of the Oinkologne EX deck. Is that you can just use Sharon's Care, take hits, heal. Now, Heather does have 3 energy attached to her Oinkologne EX. I would really like to see a Heavy Stomp, because Heavy Stomp would take the knockouts. But I think Heather is going for Maddening Sense instead. Yes, Heavy Stomp would deal 190 plus the 30 from the choice belts. So would do 220 damage for the KO. Yes, definitely would have liked to see that Duraludon VMAX hit the bin here. Now, Fran, in a rush to put together her new post-rotation Duraludon deck, started reading Switch Carts, and I talked to her about this. Started reading Switch Cart, and she was like, "Oh, yeah, Switch Cart seems broken in my Duraludon deck because it heals the Duraludons and switches them." But as you will see here, Fran is about to learn in real time that Switch Cart only works on basics. So I suspect that we will be seeing Fran make some adjustments to her Duraludon deck before next week's league. Yes. Easy mistake to make. I know. The basic clause, real easy to miss. Yep. And that's where I'm like, nope, can't do that, Fran. You put that Switch Cart right back into your hand. So then Fran's like, oh, what? And then like, yes. Realizing in real time. That's okay. Lesson learned. So it's just going to be a G-Max pulverization from Fran. Swinging back in for 220 damage. Now the ball is in Heather's court. She needs to find another Sharon's Care if she wants to heal this piggy. She's got another Oinkologne in her hands. And I really like the Squovit. Honestly, watching Heather play has made me a big believer in the Squovit. The Squovit seems completely broken. And she finds the Sharon's Care off of the Nest Stash, then uses Bieberell's Industrious Incisor's ability to fill her hand to 5. Sharon's Care completely heals that damaged pig. There we go. Picking it up into the hand. And then new Oinkologne making its way into the active. And at this point, Fran is like, dang, this is kind of crazy, honestly. It's just like these pigs are not dying. And you can see the deck doing what it's supposed to do. This is very impressive. Oinkologne's just not going down. And then this time, Maddening Sense will take the knockout on Duraludon VMAX. And Heather gets to take 3 prize cards. Now, Fran has Judge and Raihan. I really would have liked to see Fran just promote the Duraludon VMAX and use Raihan. Fran could have just sealed the game, really, this last turn. If Fran promoted Duraludon VMAX, used Raihan to accelerate the fighting energy for her discard pile and get the stadium, she could have just guaranteed bumped the path to the peak. And that is Heather's 4th path to the peak. So Fran needs to find a stadium, and she does find 2 off of this Judge. So Heather is in a really compromising situation now because Crystal Cave is coming into play. And that means that Heather, for the remainder of this game, will not be able to hit that Duraludon VMAX. But Heather still has a win condition because there are still 3 prizes on... There are still 3 prizes on Fran's board. So what I would have liked to see Heather do here, Heather slapped that gift energy down with the quickness. But what I think Heather should have done is Heather should have gone for a stampede this turn, or a heavy stomp. Not stampede on the Lechonk. Heather should go for a heavy stomp. And Heather also has a Boss's Orders in her hand. So what I would have liked to see Heather do is play Boss's Orders on the Arceus V and then Squovit the hand to the bottom of the deck without attaching an energy and go for the heavy stomp knockout on Arceus V. Because if Heather goes for that play, then Heather will go to just 1 prize remaining, and all she needs to do is knock out Radiant Eternatus for game, right? So Heather's in a situation where she can win if she just goes back-to-back heavy stomps with Boss's Orders. So I think that just taking a moment to kind of see that play, see that line, ask yourself, like, okay, what's my win condition? I know I don't have any more path to the peak. I can't possibly knock out this Duraludon VMAX. How do I win? And the answer is definitely heavy stomp. Even just getting a heavy stomp on the Radiant Eternatus would also put a lot of pressure on because it could just knock it out. Unfortunately, Maddening Scent's not going to be doing a lot of damage because Fran's board is just really small right now. So Heather's going to Squovit first, then fill her hand to 5 with Industrious Incisors. Got Trekking Shoes and Boss's Orders. So let's see where she goes from here. It looks like it's just going to be a Maddening Scent for 70 damage. But with that Crystal Cave in play, Fran will be able to heal it. And the Switch Cart finally getting to show what it can do. Switch Cart switching that Radiant Eternatus to the bench and healing 30 damage from it. And then Crystal Cave will get to heal as well. And both of these decks just showing off how much they can heal. It is really crazy to see. Crystal Cave healing the Duraludon VMAX there. And then Fran does have a Judge in her hand. Crystal Cave also heals the Radiant Eternatus because it is Dragon type. And then let's see, is it going to be a Judge this turn? The crazy thing about the Oinkologne deck is that Judge really doesn't have an effect on it. I mean, with Bibarel and Squovit online, you pretty much have the ability to churn through your deck infinitely throughout a game. I mean, you can just keep drawing and never stop. With Skwovet, you can always put your hand to the bottom of the deck, and then with Bibarel, you can always fill your hand to 5. It's just it's a really, really incredible combination, and seeing is believing for me. So I think I didn't realize how good that Skwovet would be with the Bibarel engine, but I definitely love to see it. Fran is going to use that G-Max Pulverization attack, 220 damage, onto the Oinkologne EX. Now, Heather still has the potential to knock out that benched Arceus. I would love to see Boss's Orders on Arceus and dig for a double turbo energy. And again, Heather cannot touch this Duraludon VMAX right now because of Duraludon VMAX's Skyscraper ability, which prevents all damage done to it by Pokemon with special energy. Heather's going to use Boss's Orders and then has to swing in for just 70 damage with Oinkologne's Maddening Scent attack on the Arceus V. This game is so close. There's definitely a route for both players to win. Fran finds Colress's Experiment and will play it to look at the top 5 cards of her deck. And then put 3 of them into her hand and 2 of them into the Lost Zone. And it looks like she's going to ditch another Arceus, keep an Energy and a Great Ball. And Fran really wants to find Arceus V-Star. Arceus V-Star would be great. Keep in mind, Fran has not used Arceus V-Star's Starbirth V-Star power yet. And there it is, the gold Arceus V-Star. This is a huge find. And Fran will be able to use that Arceus V-Star's Starbirth to help switch this Arceus V out of the active spot, which she desperately needs to do. Because knocking out this Arceus is Heather's win condition. So Fran is going to use Starbirth and search her deck for 2 cards. Now, the switch cards are not going to do it. I think Fran is realizing this game, that the switch cards got to go out of this deck. That is not it. But double turbo energy will get the job done. And then you can see Fran has identified that the Arceus getting knocked out is Heather's win condition. So Fran really intelligently grabs the Sharon's Care as well. The double turbo to retreat the Arceus out of the active, and then Sharon's Care to pick it up and remove that as a lose condition the following turn. She can't play the Sharon's Care this turn because she already played Colress, but will retreat Arceus V-Star into Duraludon VMAX, and Duraludon VMAX is finally going to get to knock out this pig. The pig knockouts have been eluding Fran all game. But finally, Duraludon gets to eat. Oinkologne EX goes down to a G-Max Pulverization. And Fran takes 2 prize cards. Lechonk is promoted. Now, Heather still has a win condition right here. Heather still has a win condition. At this point, Heather has been building up energy on this backup Lechonk. Heather needs to find Boss's Orders and knock out the benched Arceus V-Star this turn before it gets Sharon's cared. And if Heather can go back-to-back boss's orders, then Heather can win this game. Heather's only got 3 prizes left to take. Back-to-back boss's orders, back-to-back attacks with the pig would get it done. It is possible. Let's see. Ultra Ball discards Battle VIP Pass. Oh, there's only 2 boss in the list. All right, never mind then. Yes, there's only 2 boss's orders in the list. I felt like I kept seeing them, so I was like, "There's maybe there's 3." Well, that makes sense. Here's Oinkologne EX. And then Squovitz can Nest Dash. Put those cards on the bottom of the deck. And then Industrious Incisors will fill the hand to 5. Trekking Shoes finds Judge. Judge, not the card Heather wants. Next card, Ultra Ball. No boss's orders here. So it looks like Heather may have to just pass. Because the pig cannot touch that Duraludon with its Skyscraper ability. This is a really tough situation. And there is the Sharon's Care. No! The Arceus V-Star saved from the clutches of Oinkologne EX. And now Fran has essentially removed her lose condition from the board. At this point, Heather has got no way to be able to win. Because there are not 3 prizes on the board to take. Heather is out of Path to the Peak. She unfortunately had to discard 2 earlier in the game. But this match is really getting close to time as well. So Fran needs to hustle if she wants to be able to take her remaining 3 prizes before time is called. G-Max Pulverization. Gonna smack for 220 damage. And then Heather finds her other Bibarel. And will use Nest Stash to put her hand on the bottom of the deck. Then draw a single card. And then use Industrious Incisors to fill the hand to 5. And I come over with the time die. This is turn 0. And Fran is turn 1. So Fran can win this game. G-Max Pulverization gonna take the knockout on Oinkologne EX. Heather is turn 2. This game is in time. Now, for those of you that don't know how time works, the way that time works is that you have 30 minutes to complete your match. Then at the end of 30 minutes, you have +3 turns. The player whose turn it is when time is called is turn 0. Then the next turn is turn 1. The next turn is turn 2. And the next turn is turn 3. The game ends at turn 3. And if no winner is determined, then it is a tie. Okay? So Heather is turn 2. Heather cannot possibly win this game. And Heather has no Oinkologne in play. Heather forgot to draw with gift energy, so she's doing that. So the only way that Heather can win this game is to to not lose this game, is to use boss's orders on Radiant Eternatus and hope that Fran does not have a switch card. So Heather uses boss on Eternatus. Does Fran have a switch? It's turn 3. This is the final turn of the game. If Fran can move this Radiant Eternatus out of the active spot, Fran will win. But in that huge hand, there's no switch, no double turbo energy, and the only dig that Fran has is a Judge. That's it. Judge is the best she's got. That's crazy. So Judge will set Fran's hand to 4 cards. Fran needs... Oh, I accidentally cut the camera there. Fran needs a double turbo energy or a switch. Trekking shoes. And nothing. There's no switch to be found. And that's it. The game ends in a tie. That is it. GG's, nothing, and Fran flips over her deck, looking for the switch, looking for the double turbo energy. What an exhilarating match. Had no idea it was going to go down like that. GG's to both players. Round 1 ends in a tie with both the Oinkologne EX deck and the Duraludon deck healing tons of damage and showing that both Pokemon are very difficult to knock out. All right, GG's. GG's, GG's. On to the next one, chatters. Let's go. That was fun. My big takeaway from that was that Skwovet was insane. I loved Skwovet. Skwovet was great. Absolutely busted. What do we got here? Okay, we got that. Let me grab a couple cards for the card viewer real quick. Okay. And that guy. We also want this guy. We also want this guy. Oh, they're all set up and ready to go. I need to... Okay. I'm just getting cards for the overlay. Give me one moment. I want to make sure that I've got... You know, a lot of the primary players here loaded up so that I can easily show them off on the overlay while we watch. Okay, here we go. Y'all ready? Let's get this party started. Round 2 of the Full Grip Games League Night Tournament. We have got Sam on the left versus John on the right. Sam is going to be kicking this game off with a Comfey in the active. Sam is playing Lost Box Giratina. And John is playing Gardevoir EX. John said that he had gotten the list from my most recent YouTube video. So if you watched the Gardevoir EX YouTube video, you're going to get to see that list in action again here on the tabletop. So that's what we got going on. Sam is playing Lost Box Giratina. Giratina V-Star is an absolute force to be reckoned with in post-rotation standard formats. Very consistent and hard-hitting deck. Sam will nest ball, grab another Comfy, and commence flower selecting. Here we go. Look at the top 2 cards of the deck. Drapion V not needed, so that card is kicked to the lost zone. And then we've got switch cards and another flower selecting for 2. Sending Psychic Energy to the lost zone, and then another nest ball. We'll go grab a third Comfy. Now, you can keep Drapion V alive to accelerate energy to it and then knock out Gardevoir EX, but Giratina also can very easily knock out Gardevoir EX, so understandable to send the Drapion to the lost zone, especially early, since Giratina V-Star is kind of the primary attacker here. Now Sam is going to bench Giratina V-Star, bench a Cramorant, and then pass, or bench a Giratina V, bench Cramorant, and pass. This is a very solid start from Sam. John is going to start things off with an Ultra Ball and will discard 2 Psychic Energy. Take a look at his deck and see what he's got available. With Quick Ball rotating, Ultra Ball is the saving grace of standard format right now. I mean, imagine playing this game without Ultra Ball. It'd be crazy. Ultra Ball is just that rock, that foundation of most standard decks right now. Fog Crystal is going to search out Zacian V, and I absolutely love this card. Zacian V is a fantastic way to start off the game as a Gardevoir deck. And then John diving in with the turn 1 Judge. Hand disruption, always a premium when you're playing against Lost Box. Being able to set their hand to just 4 cards is extremely good, and I think that Judge will certainly be a very impactful card in the early post-rotation formats with Marnie gone. It's all about Judge, baby. Each player getting 4 cards. And John finds Mew from Celebrations. Actually, Crown Zenith, but you know what I'm saying. Psychic Energy onto Ralts, and then we'll retreat into Mew. And use its Mysterious Tail ability to look at the top 6 cards of the deck, finds a Battle VIP pass, and now we are cooking. And that's exactly why Mew is in the deck, to help find those early Battle VIP passes to get an explosive setup. This is exactly what John wants to see. Battle VIP pass will allow John to completely fill his bench on turn 1, grabbing another Ralts and a Radiant Greninja. And this is the dream turn 1 board from a Gardevoir deck. Especially against Lost Box. You really want to have that Radiant Greninja available, because oh no, John does not roar! No, he should have roared! I thought you were going to roar! It looks like John forgot to roar the sword. So sad. Missed opportunity. No roar feels bad, man. But It's a lot of players are just starting to play with the new post rotation decks, so gotta remember that Roar of the Sword. Now, Sam is going to continue cooking with the compies. Looks like he's got 6 cards in the Lost Zone already. Culver's Experiment and a Flower Selecting will put him there. So this is a really exceptional draw off of the Judge. Another Flower Selecting. And we'll send a Grass to the Lost Zone. That is now 7 cards in the Lost Zone. So Mirage Gate has been activated, allowing Sam to look at the top or look in the deck for 2 energy of different types and attach them to his Pokemon in any way he likes. Looks like he's going to be favoring a Grass and a Psychic Energy to accelerate to Giratina V. There we are, that Giratina V getting loaded up. And Giratina V-Star comes down into play. But Sam is already attached for turn. I don't believe there's any other plays for Sam to make right now. There's no switch card in this hand. And it's just a pass. So Sam is all set up with Giratina V-Star, but no attack. And it looks like John is going to play Worker. I do really like Worker in the Gardevoir deck. It's a nice option to draw cards and remove stadiums from play. And then John has got a Psychic Energy. We'll use Greninja's concealed cards to discard the Psychic and draw 2. Still no sign of no sign of Kirlia, though. So it might be an Ultra Ball for Kirlia. Mysterious Tail can also dig to maybe find a level ball. And John will Ultra Ball, discarding Collapse Stadium and Zacian V. Definitely wants to find a Kirlia to get that into play. Start using that refinement ability to churn through the deck and draw cards. And there is Kirlia hitting the board. But I'm not sure that John has any cards in his hand that he would love to discard. That Ultra Ball was already pretty tough to play. John does have Mysterious Tail, though, so can use that to look at the top 6 cards of the deck. Maybe find an item card there. Let's see. Oh, you can also discard the Psychic. That's totally fine. So, yeah. Kirlia will Refinement, discarding the Psychic Energy. Draw 2 cards. And let's see. We're about to see a Mysterious Tail. Yes. If John can find a rare candy, there it is. Wow. Then John will be able to just spring this Gardevoir right into play. That's going to be very strong. You can see turn 2. This deck really starting to pop off. John selects the rare candy off of Mysterious Tail. And I suspect we're going to see... Oh, this is the wrong Gardevoir. Excuse me. Sorry. This one. Whatever, they're all purple. Whatever. All right. Now we see John kind of counting, you know, how many Psychic are in the discard pile. And I think he's considering an Ultra Ball for Gardevoir EX, but I agree that John should definitely just put the Shining Arcana Gardevoir into play this turn. So I think John kind of assesses the situation and is like, yeah, I should probably just rare candy this thing and draw some more cards. So I like that a lot. And then once you use Shining Arcana, you draw 2 cards, and then playing the Ultra Ball is probably easier, right? So then if you wanted to, you could Ultra Ball for another Kirlia, and then Refinement again. Now this time, we do not forget to roar. Let's go. Roar of the Sword. Zacian V. Accelerating a Psychic Energy into play. Love to see it. Great way to end the turn. And now the ball is in Sam's court. Sam's got Lumineon V. Oh boy, what are we doing with this thing? Lumineon V has the Luminous Sign ability, allowing you to search your deck for a supporter card, put it into your hand. And, I mean, Boss's orders would go kind of crazy here. Just retreat the Comfy, knock out Zacian. Looks like Sam is going to favor Culver's Experiment instead. I think it'd be a pretty good turn to go on the offensive, honestly. Culver's Experiments. Look at the top 5 cards of the deck and get to put... There might not be a boss in the deck. I mean, these kinds of lists may only play 1 boss, so could be priced. Culver's Experiments will put 3 cards into the hand off the top of the deck, 2 into the Lost Zone. Comfy will send another card to the Lost Zone. And now looks as if we are approaching 10 cards. Yeah, there is already a boss's orders in the Lost Zone, so that's probably the case. Probably no boss available. Cramorant is live for a Spit Innocently, though, so that's what we're going to see. Knocking out the Mew and dealing 110 damage. And then Sam will take his first prize. Let's see. John's turn. And John top decks a Kirlia and really has got a lot to work with now. Gonna start off with a Refinement to discard Ultra Ball and draw 2 cards. And then we've got another Kirlia evolved into play. Gardevoir EX sitting pretty there in the hand. We'll be able to come into play this turn as well. Kirlia number 2. At this point in the game, I like using Refinement to discard researches. You really don't need them anymore. The researches are just really good in the opening turns of the game. But later on in the game, you're usually playing more utility supporter cards. But the researches are pretty necessary for setting up. And also for just helping get energy into the discard pile early. Gardevoir will use Shining Arcana. Or no, that's Concealed Cards, sorry. Discard Psychic, draw 2. And then Shining Arcana now. We'll just draw 2. And John's hand is absolutely massive. I'm just so much to work with. And John counting up the amount of energy that he has available. And I think John sees a play. Evolves into Gardevoir EX. And is going to use that Psychic Embrace ability to accelerate 2 energy onto Gardevoir. Now, if John can knock out that Giratina, if there's a boss's orders in this hand, this is about to be insane. Sky Sealstone. Oh my goodness. It is going down right now. And then Psychic Embrace to accelerate a whopping 6 energy from the discard pile. And then there's the boss's orders. With Sky Sealstone, Zacian V's Storm Slash attack is going to be swinging for 300 damage. And it's going to take 3 prize cards. This is absolutely devastating for Sam. Wow, what a huge turn from the Gardevoir EX deck. Zacian V, Sky Sealstone, Boss's Orders, Psychic Embrace. Absolutely everything that turn. John's deck absolutely popped off. That was crazy to see. Now Sam has to start back at square one. That Giratina had all of Sam's chips on it. All of Sam's investment was in that Giratina. Now, I like Sam looking at the Lumineon V as a potential Aqua return target. Cramorant can easily take this knockout. And then Roxanne is going to disrupt the hand. But the thing about the Guardy deck is that there's just so much draw power already on board. You've got concealed cards, you've got Shining Arcana, and you've got Refinement. But that is something worth noting about the Gardevoir deck is that it does feel kind of like a glass cannon. I mean, Zacian V just cranked out 300 damage, but it's only got 100 hit points left. So Cramorant will be able to make very swift work of the Zacian. Ultra Ball is going to set up another Giratina V on the bench. And then Spit Innocently will take the knockout, tying this game up at 3-3 prize cards. John's got just a 2-card hand, and now John has a Roxanne. Now John only needs to deal 110 damage to the Cramorant, so the Gardevoir can easily take that knockout. Let's see what we got. Ralts in the hand, Roxanne, and Fog Crystal. Both of John's Zacian V are in the discard pile right now. So Fog Crystal will get played, but it's not really going to be a great target. You can get a Psychic Energy, though. Psychic Energy can get attached to the active Gardevoir. And then Psychic Embrace can accelerate 2 energy to it with 3 energy. Gardevoir's Brainwave attacks doing 150 damage, so plenty of damage for the knockout on Cramorant. And then John just has to build something up to be able to deal with either Lumineon or Giratina. Concealed cards will discard the Psychic Energy and draw 2. We got a backup Gardevoir now. which is great. I want to see John just evolve the Kirlia into Gardevoir and Roxanne. I mean, just disrupt the hands. Take a knockout. We got Serena and... Whoa, okay. With Serena, it could go down right now. Here's Ralts, and John still has one more refinement to use. And another Shining Arcana. I mean, this deck is just going to draw so many cards. It's crazy. Got one more refinement. You could refinement away the level ball. I'm going to refinement away the Pal Pad. I like refinement away the level ball better. Pal Pad's just a good card. Should probably just play that. And then we got Shining Arcana coming down. And then Shining Arcana can draw 2 more cards. And John can really just put this game away right now. With the backup Gardevoir on the bench, John can just accelerate enough energy into play to be able to knock out the Giratina V on the bench. And with that Serena, he'll be able to go on the offensive. Gardevoir EX will use Psychic Embrace, accelerate a couple energy to the active, retreat into the benched Gardevoir, and here we go. Shining Arcana for 2, and it's a pair of Oaks. Then Gardevoir EX can use Psychic Embrace to dump a whopping, 6 energy from the discard pile straight onto the Gardevoir. With 6 energy attached, Gardevoir is able to do 240 damage, and then Serena, as the supporter for turn, will bring that Giratina V into the active spot, and Brainwave will take the knockout, catapulting John to just 1 prize card remaining. With Sableye, Sam does have an out. I mean, Sam can knock out 2 Gardevoirs, but the problem is Gardevoir EX's Psychic Embrace can just accelerate those energy into play, and Sableye only has 80 hit points. It can easily get knocked out. Sableye's Lost Mine Attack will be able to take a KO on 2 Gardevoir this turn, but that Gardevoir EX can just clean up the game by itself. And right now, Sam doesn't have anything on his board that can live through an attack from Gardevoir EX. So it's looking like, I mean, honestly, the turn 3 Sky Sealstone Boss's Orders knockout, followed by the turn 4 Serena 1-hit KO. I mean, that's just like an absolutely stunning performance from the Gardevoir deck. It's insane. So John's going to promote Ralts. And Sableye will be able to use Lost Mine to knock out both Gardevoir and then place the rest of the damage. I mean, it's so close to being able to win, right? I mean, because the Ralts 70 hit points left, but only has 40 left over. So really, Sam is only 3 damage counters away from winning this game, which is crazy. But John has Gardevoir EX with its Psychic Embrace ability, can easily accelerate the remaining energy into play and use Miracle Force to knock out Sableye for the game. John taking the win. GG's to Sam and John. Well played to both players. That was an absolutely dominant performance by the Gardevoir EX deck. Really showing off what it's capable of with the draw power, the one-hit KO potential, the flexibility with the supporters that can be used. It was an impressive showing for sure. Good stuff. Good stuff. Good stuff. Good stuff. All right. Up next, we have got Jesse Parker versus David Cook. David Cook is hot off a 33rd place at the Fort Wayne Regional Championships. He was playing Lugia, qualified for day 2, and just barely bubbled out of top 32. So that was a tough run for David. I mean, it was his best finish to date, so very proud of David. Best finish in the modern era. But still, just one placement off that top 32, $250, the booster box. Pretty tough. But still a great finish for David and something he should be proud of. Jesse, local warrior and frequent co-host of our Tricky Gym tabletop streams, going to be playing Lugia V-Star in the post-rotation format. With the single strike energies, we got Tyranitar, single strike energy, and Stonejourner. Let's pull up that Tyranitar for us. Where are you? There you are. And Stonejourner. It is Stonejourner. Yeah, it's Stonejourner for sure. All right, here we go. This match is getting underway. We have got David Cook on the left, who appears to have a really wonderful opening hand, versus Jesse Parker on the right. David Cook is going to be playing Gardevoir EX. And Jesse is playing Single Strike Lugia V-Star. Looks like Jesse is going first. And Jesse has the absolutely broken Ultra Ball Double Archeops. Listen, not every opening hand has Ultra Ball Double Archeops in it, but my goodness, when you are able to open Ultra Ball Double Archeops, especially post-rotation, it just feels filthy, disgusting. Being able to put 2 Archeops in the discard pile on the first turn of the game. No search cards required. Just Ultra Ball, double Archeops in the hand as is. So those Archeops are in the discard pile now, which means that Lugia V-Star will be able to pop those dudes right onto the bench. Next turn, with its Summoning Star ability, we can see Lugia V-Star is the choice off of that Ultra Ball. As Jesse takes a look at his prize card, sees what he has available. So Jesse's all set. I mean, really, Lugia is just that deck. It is so low maintenance. I mean, in some ways, with Evolution Incense and Quick Ball, it was so easy to get 2 Archeops in the discard pile. And Jesse's making it look easy right now, but opening Ultra Ball double Archeops, that is not something. It's like witnessing a unicorn, okay? Or a leprechaun. It's not something you see every day. That's special. David Cook has got Battle VIP Pass in his opening hand, so he's going to be cooking. Battle VIP Pass is the best way to open any game in standard format. Really. Doesn't get any better than this. Battle VIP Pass gets you 2 Pokemon out of the deck, puts them straight onto the bench. David going to go for Radiant Greninja and Ralts. And then Fog Crystal. Going to get probably another Ralts or Zacian. Now, taking a look at David's deck, I think he has prized his Zacian, which is really tough because you want to have that Zacian early to be able to use Roar of the Sword. And Zacian is just the best attacker for knocking out Lugias. Radiant Greninja, concealed cards will discard a Psychic and draw 2. We do see that Temple of Sinnoh in David's hand, which is a nice little tech card, and the Rare Candy Ultra Ball in his hand. So looks like David could have a very explosive start. I mean, he's got the Mysterious Tail Mew, which finds another Battle VIP Pass, but at this point, David doesn't even need it. Yes, after realizing that David Zacian was prized, we did do a little table talk here talking about, yeah, I like 2 Zacian. Honestly, 2 Zacian seems like the right number. Prizing it is way too bad, and then also having to recover it's bad if you need to get another one at the end of the game. So I do prefer 2 Zacian to 1. But it's very early in the format. Players are still kind of learning about lists and optimal counts of cards. And David's just going to throw down the Temple of Sinnoh. I do think I like saving the Temple of Sinnoh for later because Lugia does not really care about Temple of Sinnoh. It's the Tyranitar that cares about Temple of Sinnoh. So, Jesse going to play Capturing Aroma and flips ahead, so he'll be able to grab an Evolution Pokemon out of the deck and put it into his hand. And off of that, he's going to get an Archeops. I believe there's a Professor's Research in his hand. There's the Lugia V-Star and Summoning Star. Right on cue. We'll put those 2 Archeops straight onto the bench, and then Archeops will be able to use its incredibly busted Primal Turbo ability to accelerate special energy into play. And I like that Jesse is deciding to use Primal Turbo before his draw supporter for turn. The last thing you want to do is draw into a bunch of special energy. You want to thin those out of the deck first, so good call by Jesse. Utilizing those Primal Turbo abilities before the research. Pokemon cards is all about percentages. It's all about odds. It's all about statistics, right? And it's the entire game. So by using Primal Turbos, you decrease the amount of energy in your deck, and increase the odds that you draw into good cards like Basic Search and, things like that. Draw supporters, all that. It's little things like that separates the good players from the players who are still learning. Those little best practices, they add up over the course of a game, over the course of a tournament. You're sequencing the order with which you do your game actions makes a huge difference. Jesse's able to play Nest Ball, finds a Tyranitar V, and attaches single strike energy to it. And then Lugia. That's not Lugia. Lugia will use Tempest Dive and take the knockouts on Mew. Now, David promotes Ralts and has Level Ball. Will be able to use Level Ball to go search out a Kirlia and evolve that into play. Now, David has a pretty good hand here. It's got Rare Candy and Ultra Ball. But the thing is, if you think about this board, I mean, without a Zashi and V in the deck, how could David possibly knock out this Lugia? I mean, it's basically not possible, which is really tough, since that Zashi and V is in the prizes. Kirlia is going to use Refinement to discard Emergency Jelly, and then we've got Radiant Greninja. But it's just a really tough situation. No draw supporter. It's got Rare Candy into Gardevoir, but the Lugia deck is just really aggressing quickly right now. So what do you do in this situation? No draw supporter. Ugh. Ultra Ball. Discard Ultra Ball and Jelly. And then what? Another Kirlia? It's kind of what we have to go for here. I think so. I agree with Dave's assessment. It's probably just another Kirlia, but at this point, you're already getting so far behind because the Lugia is just kind of farming your setup and is such a beefy dude. I mean, you got to figure, in order for Zashi and V to respond to the Lugia, I mean, the Zashi and V would have needed 9 energy with the V-Guard energy on. So it's you're asking Gardevoir to have 9 energy in play turn 2. It's just asking a lot. So it looks like David's going to get another Kirlia. And then discards the Gardevoir. That is tough. Discards the Gardevoir EX. And then finds Worker as his draw supporter for turn. So I can play that to draw 3. And we find another Rare Candy and another Worker. And then Rare Candy can evolve the active Ralts. It's a really tough situation. I mean, just all things considered. I mean, you could see just because this Gardevoir deck isn't popping off turn 2, the Lugia deck is just going to dominate the board because the Lugia has effective 310 hit points. It's doing 220 damage every turn. It's just, yeah, it's a lot. So I think David's just going to decide to Teleportation Burst, 10 damage, and save the Ralts, promoting the Radiant Greninja. And Jesse is on the offensive with Primal Turbo, accelerating 2 special energy into play. Looks like just going to choose the gift energy off of that Archeops. And then let's take a look at Jesse's hand, see what he has. I mean, that's just a big hand. Judge. Boss's orders. Ooh, this is really, really brutal. Turn 2 knockout from Jesse. Boss's orders to bring up Kirlia. Yikes. And now David's board is just feeling absolutely picked apart. And again, the Zacian V is prized, so he doesn't have that available. Concealed cards can draw 2 more cards. Refinements to get 2 more. A couple of fog crystals. No Gardevoir EX in hand right now. Double fog crystal can go get maybe a couple more energy out of the deck. Or basic Pokemon, but at this point, I mean, it's just like... And the crazy thing is like, it's not like, you know, Dave's hand hasn't been disrupted. It's just a big dude taking big knockouts. That's it. It's just a big dude taking fast knockouts. And it's like, and the pressure has just been a little bit too much for Gardevoir to be able to deal with. Because when you're getting your Ralts and your Kirlias knocked out every turn, I mean, it's just, there's no easy way to recover those. You either have to play Miriam or you have to play Clara. And when you're playing Clara, you're not drawing cards, which is bad. And then when you're playing Miriam, I mean, then it's like you're only drawing 3 off of that. So recovering your Ralts and your Curly, they're like precious resources, you know? Getting them farmed early, just really all it takes, just a big dude just bullying you, you know? There's a big Lugia just out here bullying the Ralts and the Curly off the board. It's really tough. All right, let's see what Dave's got. He's got Mew. Used his abilities so far. Level Ball. We'll go see if there's another Pokemon in the deck to fish out. Another Kirlia. But again, David has a huge task of needing to deal 270 damage to the Lugia, then needing to deal 230 damage to the Tyranitar, and his Kirlias have just been getting bullied off the board. And God forbid if you prize a Ralts as the Gardevoir player, that just feels terrible. I feel like, David didn't accidentally conceal cards twice this turn, did he? I don't know. I feel like he's activated more abilities than he has in play, but I can't tell because he isn't tilting them when he uses them. If he did, I'm sure it was an accident. Scout Worker. And Boss's orders. And it looks like he's going to go for Boss on that. But that's the thing is like Boss and the Archeops. Ugh. Still needs to find a Gardevoir. Go for Shining Arcana. Doesn't find an energy. So it's like, what? You got your one Gardevoir here. And David's going to scoop it up. He's like, yeah, I ain't got it like that. It's just run off the board completely. See, the Zacian V is prized. And there, you just saw Lugia just set up and dominates. That is how it goes. All right, so there's round 3. Absolute domination. Really? Just get Lugia up and moving? Hard to stop? All right, for our fourth and final round of the Full Grip Games League Night Tournament, we have got Dylan on the left versus Jesse Parker on the right. Dylan is playing a spicy Lost Box deck. Jesse is playing his trusty Lugia V-Star deck. These players are competing for store credits. There are 15 players at tonight's event. That means there's $150 worth of store credit in the prize pool. So the first place finisher probably going to win something like $60 store credit. It's a good amount. I know second place got $40. So we got a good amount of prizing on the line thanks to Full Grip Games. And, of course, the clout. Let's not forget about that. Game is getting underway, and Jesse goes first, opening Stonejourner. And there's a Capturing Aroma. Having to rely on Capturing Aroma in a competitive deck makes me a little bit nauseous, but it's just what we got. It's what we got, baby. Capturing Aroma. You flip a coin if heads. Search your deck for an evolution Pokemon if tails. Search your deck for a basic Pokemon. You never know what you're going to get, but you're always going to get something. Jesse flipped ahead, so he'll be able to grab an evolution Pokemon out of the deck. Probably Archeops, if I have to guess. And Jesse's going to check his prizes, see what he's got available in the deck, see what kind of energy he's got prized. And it looks like Archeops is the Pokemon of choice. And then Jesse does have an Ultra Ball in his hand, so he can hop right in with the Ultra Ball to discard an Archeops and a Luminion. He does need to get a Lugia down, but it looks like he's got a Nest Ball. So I think he's going to get the second Archeops. Dang, I need to make sure I don't walk around this stream table when I'm recording these guys, because it looks like a mountain troll is walking by whenever I... And Nest Ball will grab Lugia V. Like, I got a pretty solid setup, but it's not that solid. Double turbo onto the Lugia. And a pass. Now, Dylan's got a really solid opening hand. Culver's Experiment, perfect way to start the game. Be able to look at the top 5 cards of his deck, put 3 into his hand, 2 into the Lost Zone, and then I do see a Battle VIP pass there as well. Sending Comfy and Fighting to the Lost Zone Battle VIP pass. We'll go get 2 basic Pokemon and put them straight onto the bench. And let's see what Dylan's got going on in his deck. He's got the Hawlucha active. Now, the unfortunate thing about opening Hawlucha is that you cannot use its flying entry ability ever, because Scoop Up Net is rotated. So that means that those 2 damage counters will never get to be placed. Battle VIP pass will search out 2 Comfy and put them straight onto the bench so that they are all ready to select some flowers and put more cards into the Lost Zone. Dylan would love to get a turn 1 Escape Rope, Cramorant, 110 damage. I mean, that's like the ideal turn 1. If Dylan can go Escape Rope, drag up the Lugia V, and spit innocently for 110, that would be great. Retreat into Comfy and Flower Selecting. Got Clara and Switch Cart. Going to send the Clara to the Lost Zone. Switch Cart into the other Comfy and Flower Selecting again. And Mirage Gate goes. That's 4 cards down. Got Cramorant, but can't attack turn 1, unfortunately. He's already attached because he retreated. The Darkness Energy, that's right. So no turn 1 attack from Dylan, unfortunately, but kind of revealing his hand a little bit with the Articuno. Articuno is a spicy card in the Lost Box deck. It is used as a attack against Lugia decks. Articuno has the Wild Freeze attack, which does 70 damage and paralyzes the defending Pokemon automatically. Places 5 damage counters on the Articuno. But it is a way to slow down the Lugia deck since they don't typically play switch cards. However, with the new special energy, Lugia is going to get even better because Lugia is going to be able to play special energy that heals you from status conditions. Isn't that nice? The therapy energy. Yes. So how about that? The status condition strategies aren't going to work against Lugia anymore, which is pretty funny. Jesse uses Luminous Sign to go get Research, discard his hand, draw 7 cards. He's got the Lugia V-Star, so he'll be able to use the Summoning Star to get his Archeops into play. But first, it's going to be Nest Ball. To go get a Lugia V and then Summoning Star. Yeah, the new therapy energy just heals special conditions if it's on the Pokemon. Which is so nuts. So Lugia could just use Archeops to go to... Lugia can heal status conditions from any of its Pokemon just by having an Archeops in play, which is insane. So Jesse's going to use Primal Turbo to accelerate a single strike energy and a gift energy to the active Stone Journer. And then a second Primal Turbo. And that Stone Journer is ready to go in. And with this, Jesse is setting up real nicely. We'll be able to use Giga Hammer for, or not even Giga Hammer, just Lance Pulse for the knockouts. Doesn't have to go with that downside of not being able to Giga Hammer next turn. Dylan's going to promote Comfy and use Colress's Experiment. And we see the Crabominable spicy card in this deck. Grabs the crab, and he's like, I'm definitely keeping this for later. So maybe we'll get to see some spicy crab plays later on in the game. As it seemed like Dylan was pretty intent on saving that. And then Flower Selecting. And he's got 7 cards in the Lost Zone, so he's live for Mirage Gate now. Escape Rope will push one of Jesse's Pokemon into the active spots. Probably the Lugia V, since it can't get stuck by paralysis, would be my guess. But it looks like Jesse's going to promote the Lugia V-Star. Lugia V would have been, I think, my choice, with the thought being that you could just evolve it and knock out the Articuno. But with the Lugia V-Star promotion, it means that this Articuno might be able to stick the Lugia for a turn. So let's see. Mirage Gates will get a water energy onto the Articuno, and Wild Freeze will do 70 damage. And paralyze the Lugia. There we go. 70 damage, paralysis. The Articuno takes 5 damage counters itself. And then there's no way that Jesse has a switch card in his hand. No shots. As most Lugia lists post-rotation are not playing any switch cards. Jesse will go into his deck with Primal Turbo, though. And just accelerate one energy into play can help to thin the deck, maybe increase the odds that you draw something good off the top of the deck. And then has to pass with no way to switch out. Oh, baby. And I think that we're about to watch a crab feast, ladies and gentlemen. Beach Courts drop down into play. Crabominable V hits the board. And 2 Mirage Gates. We'll accelerate them. Energy straight to the crab. Let's go. Crabominable V has got the destroyer punch attack for 2 water and a colorless energy. Does 90 damage plus 60 more damage for each damage counter on your opponent's active Pokemon. That's doing a lot of damage right now. 6 times 7. It's like 420. Plus 90. That's 510 damage. You think that's enough damage to knock out a Lugia V-Star? I think so, chat. I think so. And then with the Sky Seal Stone. Oh, baby. It's going down. Crabominable V. Sky Seal Stone. And this crab is taking 3 prizes on the active Lugia V-Star. Destroyer Punch for 510 damage. And Dylan is going to take 3 prize cards. Wow, that's a 1-2 punch if I've ever seen it. Pretty crazy. The Articuno into the Crabominable. Now the ball is in Jesse's court. Jesse will be able to respond with a knockout on the crab. Tyranitar can easily lay waste to the crab. There are 2 single strike energy on Jesse's board, though, on the Stone Journer, so. Also, Lugia V-Star can knock out the crab, too. So both of those are options. Capturing Aroma flips tails. So Jesse will be able to grab a basic Pokemon out of his deck and put it into his hand. He's already got a Tyranitar in his hand. So at this point, probably just thinning another Lugia out, as we see there. And he'll bench Lugia. Primal Turbo. Gonna juice some more energy into play. And let's see what Jesse opts for. He's got the V-Guard energy. See the regenerative energies in this Lugia deck. It's kind of interesting. Could help against Lost Box. I like that. Gonna go Gift and V-Guard onto the Lugia V. Regenerative energy would allow you to swing with Lugia V and then take a hit from Cramorant or something and then evolve into Lugia V-Star. So that's kind of interesting. And then Jesse needs an energy and a Lugia V-Star in hand. He's got the Lugia V-Star. But also needs to get the Lumineon out of it. Oh, the Lumineon's got free retreat with the Beach Court. True. So here comes Luigi for the big knockout with Tempest Dive. That crab is going down. Tempest Dive can also discard the Beach Court. Get that out of the way after Jesse used it to retreat his own Lumineon. And Tempest Dive knocks out the crab, takes 2 prizes, removes the Beach Court. And there we go. Flower selecting. Send another card to the Lost Zone. This Articuno might be able to stick the Lugia for a turn. And it looks like Dylan's going to play Culver's Experiment. Look at the top 5 cards of his deck. He's got Energy Recycler, Heavy Ball, Boss's Orders, Raihan, Greninja. I mean, what's Dylan's hand look like, though? He's got 9 there, I think. 9 or 10. There's not a single switch card or energy in this hand. Holy moly, dude. Whoa, 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 whoa. Hold up. That's crazy. Not a single switch card. Not a single energy. And then off the Culver's Experiment, still no more. So I think that Dylan actually misses the attack here, which is, I mean, that's like a game-losing whiff. I mean, not even an energy to retreat into Articuno. Frankly, I would have liked to see, I would have really liked to see Dylan go with a safer play. I mean, even just promoting the Articuno. And then has to pass. This is like a game-losing pass. That is really bad. I mean, you like absolutely have to stick the Lugia for a turn. One more turn with the Articuno. Oh, this is devastating. If the Articuno could stick the Lugia for one more turn, then maybe give Dylan enough time to play Clara. But, oh, man. without that, though, things are looking real bleak. All right. Primal Turbo can accelerate 2 energy onto a Lugia. And now Jesse is in a position where he's really poised to be able to run away with this thing. He's got Boss's orders in his hand, so he can have his pick of whatever Pokemon he wants on Dylan's board. It looks like a full set of 4 regenerative energy in Jesse's deck. And then, yes, Boss's orders will bring that Articuno into the active spots. And Jesse is going to retreat into Lugia V, which I really like. That's a heads-up play. I think that Jesse potentially should have promoted Lugia V off the early escape rope in the game to prevent the old crab thing that happened. But now Jesse going in with the Lugia V and taking the knockouts. And what I really like about this play is that it means that paralysis is no longer an option because Jesse can just evolve the Lugia V into Lugia V-Star to remove the paralysis. So now at this point, Dylan does have energy recyclers, got Raihan. I mean, a lot of options. But yeah, there's a Clara in hand now too. But at this point, with only 2 prizes left for Jesse to take, I think Dylan's in a real grindy position. It's like all these Pokemon are so big, and you need to take 3 prizes in such a short amount of time. Oh, and you have 2 turns to take 3 prizes. And I don't know that the Lost Box deck can do enough damage. The Sky Seal Stone's already been played. So flower selecting, there's a rope. And rope is cool because it pushes the Lugia out of the active spot. So if Dylan could paralyze again, then you would be able to stick something since all of these bench Pokemon cannot evolve. Escape Rope pushes up the Stone Journer, and then Cramorant, but Sableye only does 120 damage. Cramorant only does 110 damage, and 110 plus 120. There's no way that that combination of attacks can take 3 prize cards in 2 turns. So Dylan's just going to once over his resources and what he's got left in the deck. Make sure there's not anything that he's missing. And Clara is going to be able to recover a couple energy and a couple Pokemon back from the discard pile. Put them into Dylan's hands. All right, Moltres. I mean, Moltres could, one-hit KO a Lugia, theoretically. But again, just a little short, right? Oh, it's so tough. 110 damage with the Spit Innocently. And then Jesse capturing Aroma, flips of tails. And will fail it, I think. And Jesse trying to just think of all the ways that he could possibly lose the game. At this point in the match, that's kind of what wants to be, that's what you want to have going through your mind. Like, what are my, not just what are my win conditions, but what are my lose conditions, right? How does my opponent win? Is there anything that I can do to make it so that my opponent has a harder time achieving their win condition? So then Jesse will just Giga Hammer. And then does Dylan have an out? Is there anything he can do? It's so tough. He's so close. And there you go. Dylan concedes, seeing he's got nothing that he can do to take those final prize cards. And Jesse Parker emerging victorious at the Full Grip Games League Night Tournament with a perfect 4-0 with his Lugia V-Star deck. Our first post-rotation tournament in the Scarlet and Violet formats. Huge thank you to everybody who played, everybody who came out. The weather was terrible. So thank you all for showing up and having some fun. It was great to get to watch these games. Huge thank you again to everybody who played on stream and gave us some awesome content to go over. Good stuff all around. Good stuff. All right, sweet. Ah! Oops. Oh. Good stuff, guys. Good stuff. That was fun. I like doing that. That's fun. We got Gym Leader Challenge tonight, but I'm not sure if I'll be able to record it. I might play. I brought Gym Leader Challenge decks too. So we'll see. It's our first Gym Leader Challenge tournament coming up tonight. Heather says I should play. I brought my decks. Like, I want to play, you know. I have won with 3 different types. And thank you guys all for the subs and stuff while I was doing that. Appreciate it. Thank you, thank you. I think I'm going to play. So I've won with 3 different types. I've won with Lightning, Metal, and Psychic. Yeah. I'm trying to go around the world and win with every different type. That's the goal. I brought water today. And lightning. But I've already won with lightning. The lightning was a small week. It doesn't matter. A win's a win. Not fairy. Fairy's not a type. I've been saving some of my favorite types for last, because I don't want to just win with all my favorite types first and then be stuck with all the types that I find the hardest to win with. Now, Jesse's been playing my Psychic deck, which I consider to be a very difficult deck to beat. So that's going to be the most challenging thing, is I have to beat Jesse playing my Psychic deck. I know, just play Dark. You're right. I should just play Dark tonight. It should just be Dark. Dark just feasts on Psychic. Dark destroys Psychic, though. I don't think that there's any Pokemon from Scarlet and Violet that I necessarily would put into my Hydro Pump list. I will say though, during my Psychic phase, Dark was the only deck that I consistently lost to. Of course, when Baxcalibur comes out, I've decided I'm cutting the Frostmoth. We're going Blastoise Baxcalibur, baby. Blastcalibur. That's right. No, I'm not cutting Blastoise. Get the silly moth out of there. Yeah. Frostmoth stinks anyway. Baxtoise. Yeah, and you got the Kamiya art on the Baxcalibur line, which is going to be sick. For sure. For sure. Something I thought about doing. You know how I got the, how I just filmed and we just did League or whatever? I thought about doing the same thing, except instead of recording random matches, recording all of my matches while I play. And then I can run them back, later for you guys if you want to watch. More content. Then I get to play and get content. It's a possibility. It could be fun. We'll see. I might just feel like vibing out and just playing, though, tonight. Does seem pretty sick. I would love to be able to, like, rewatch the games and then, be able to kind of talk about them from my perspective. That would be a lot of fun. Definitely. All right, well, here's the deal. It's another short stream today because I've got like only a couple days until I leave for EUIC. I'm leaving for EUIC on Tuesday. So that means I'm going to London on Tuesday. Now I'm going to be able to stream on Tuesday, but that means there's only 3 streams between now and me leaving for London. So what that means is I need to listen. That Dialga V-Star Magnezone video is not going to make itself. So that's the one. I really want to get that video out before I leave for London because that video is going to go so crazy. The Dialga V-Star deck, man, that thing was popping. So I'm going to spend the rest of the day editing that video. And then maybe I'll reward myself as a treat by playing in Gym Leader Challenge tonight. Something like that. So that's what we got on the agenda. I'll be back tomorrow. I think we'll definitely... we'll either do Gym Leader Challenge tomorrow or play Pokemon Trading Card Game Live tomorrow. Something like that. One of the two. Whichever one I'm feeling more. So, thank you guys for the stream. Thank you guys for hanging out again. Big thanks to everybody who participated in League last night. That was a lot of fun. And I'll be back tomorrow, 9 a.m. Eastern time. And I really am going to focus on getting all this YouTube content out before I leave for London night. I'll see you guys later. Thanks for the stream.